Hello everyone, Mark Anderson Audio here. Welcome to episode number 7 of Sound of the Day. Today we're going to take a sample of a gunshot and then make it sound much bigger, much more Hollywood. So let's listen to our original gunshot first. So this gunshot was taken from a sample library. It's a very clean recording of the gun, but doesn't really have much impact. After some processing, this is what I ended up with. You can hear that sounds much bigger, much fuller, and a bit more kind of Hollywood, a bit more cinematic, as it were. So I'm going to take you through the process of how I create this sound. So I'm going to be using Kong Drum Designer in Reason, just because it's good for sound design workflow, in my opinion. But you can replicate this technique in whatever DAW that you use. So first things first, I have my sample of my original gunshot there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this drum patch across several of these pads. So now I have 4 identical drum shots on these pads here. So I'm going to leave drum number 1 as it is for the time being. Pad number 2 here, I'm going to go to the pitch offset, set that all the way down. So you get a much lower pitched version of that. Pad number 3, I'm going to put the pitch all the way up. Much smaller, but a lot of crack to it. And then the 4th one, I'm going to basically crank the tone up on that one. Pull the volume down a little. Basically, that's a kind of like more of a kind of the high-end fizz of the whole thing. And what I can do within Reason is I can link these pads so that when I press one of them, it plays the sound of all 4. And I can do that by clicking on the link button up here. So I basically set that to link group D. I can do the same with these here. So now when I press any one of these, we now have this much bigger sound. So for comparison, this is what it sounded like originally on its own. Put that back in the link group. And we have a much more kind of wide-ranging sound across the spectrum, and also a lot longer. The lower pitched sample the duration of that will increase as part of the pitch shifting process, so it gives us this much more longer sustained sound, which is a bit cool. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a bus reverb. It's called the room reverb in Reason, but doesn't necessarily sound like a room. I'm going to put that the wet control all the way up, since we're going to use this as a send. And we're going to put a bit of reverb on each of these, make the size nice and big. Put a little bit on new. Maybe quite a lot on the lower pitched one. It sounds quite cool. I'm going to put a compressor on the master effects chain to kind of pull all the samples together. And you can hear there with very little processing, I've really changed the core sound of the sample to make it much bigger. And what's really cool about Reason is, depending on where you click on these pads, you can get different volumes, or if you've got the drum pads yourselves, if they're velocity sensitive. So if you're recording, say, 10 samples for some variation, say you're making sounds for a game and you want different volume variations for your samples, you can do that very quickly in Reason. Or what you can do is perhaps export this whole file and then start processing that new version again. Maybe try duplicating that, pitch shifting versions up and down, and then combining them together, and kind of keep repeating the process, just kind of thickening the whole thing out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed episode number 7 of Sound of the Day. Please like the video, share it, favorite it if you think it deserves it, or subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined. My name is Mark Anderson Audio. Adios.